The Resource Minister Shane Jones has called the Otago Regional Council, a council ironically on which I serve, so I've got to declare an interest owner, the Kremlin of the South Island, after an application to expand the Macraes gold mine was opposed by that council. Now, the Macraes gold mine want to expand their particular gold mining operations. It is likely to have a significant economic effect, good one, upon the region in general. But the Otago Council's assessment of environmental effects from expanding it is to decline any permission in full, and he has described this as ideological scribbling. This is very much this is Blind Freddy, in actual fact. I think we got introduced to that particular vernacular by our next guest, Shane Jones. This is the Blind Freddy case. Remember that? If there was going to be a gold mine or a coal mine on the west coast and Blind Freddy the frog got in the way, mortal, I have to say, that particular, I think will go down as one of the great phrases, Blind Freddy. Then goodbye Freddy the frog, words to that effect. Well, this is a classic Freddy the Frog story about a moth. And a dead moth, according to Shane Jones. And Shane Jones, the Resource Minister, joins us now. Welcome to the show, Minister. Freddy the Frog resurrected, eh?
Mate, it's worthy of comparison to that English series where a bloke wandered around with a dead parrot on his shoulder.
Ah, yeah. Monty Python.
Look.
Oh, was it Monty Python? Was that the dead parrot, or was it another one?
Yeah, words almost escaped me, and
and the words don't often escape you, to be fair, Shane.
yeah. So anyway, I know you're involved in the council, so don't regard anything I say as a personal.
No. I had nothing. Listen, I didn't even know that we'd opposed it until I read about it. So this is one of those instances where the staff make the decisions and the governance team read it in the newspaper.
But that in itself is evidence of why regional councils should be disestablished, or they should be put back to being catchment boards. But anyhow, let's just talk about what has aggravated me. I've got a role to promote economic development, safeguard jobs, provide confidence to investors to expand the productive platform of our economy.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it's in a tricky area called mining. This is an existing enterprise located in an area where few New Zealanders will ever go, where judgment is required, and that judgment should be exercised on the basis of having state responses proportionate to the risk. In my view, and I've read quite a bit of the material, in my view, people have deliberately gone out of their way to put the worst possible interpretation on the words and weaponize concepts at a time where the country has just introduced new foreign direct investment legislation. The Prime Minister has recently hosted an international investment summit. This is a group of international investors. We are trying to promote the notion that we remain a safe bet in order to prevent more and more Kiwis giving up and leaving. And this is in an area where there's no evidence that the mild extension of the activity is going to fatally compromise the current water. They have proven how successful they are in terms of there's a pond up there, the water, after having been reprocessed, is of such a quality, trout are growing in the water. So I thought, well, okay, these unelected, unknown, but highly ideologically driven executioners need to be called out.
Yes, listen, I don't disagree with anything that you've said, and I'm an elected member of the council. And the fact, you're absolutely right, that the council can make a decision of such import without referring it first to governance is an appalling indictment. Not just on this council, I would suggest, but regional councils throughout New Zealand. You have a view that this is just the latest travesty, though, by regional councils, that they need to go in toto. Can I ask you the question, not as to why, because I think you've explained that adequately and over the last few weeks and months, but whether or not that's a feasible proposition politically?
Well, I believe that I will win the support on the floor of our party conference that this course of action, which will be encapsulated in a remit, and you understand what that means,
Yeah.
then that goes forward to the ideas that we contest at the next election. I mean, I say to you that the Waikato Regional Council has become an iwi back office, that although Christopher Finlayson and Mr. Cullen sought to show respect to the Waikato and the connection they have with the river and give them an opportunity to be consulted, that has metastasized into iwi veto now over the major decisions pertaining to land use change and water management in Waikato. So it's bad enough that it was co-management, and then it's morphed into co-governance, which the last time I checked, our government was totally opposed to. And now, because of the manner within which the law has been weaponized, and we've got all these little kind of ideologically hostile cell groups burrowed into nooks and crannies of regional government, it effectively means a veto. And then on top of that, we've got a situation where the regional council in an area where I've crawled over broken glass, figuratively, to help reinvigorate the region, can't even process the resource consents down there in the west coast, Taipotini of the South Island, for the mining industry. So I say to you and your listeners, put yourself in my shoes. I'm prepared to acknowledge that we have lost the fight. We have been defeated by these grandees nestled like bed bugs, hiding under sort of bureaucratic sheets in the regional council. So that's it. Get rid of the regional councils and have a system where catchment boards and those related simple activities are reactivated after the 30 or 40 year experiment, which has not worked. Now, I know you're going to say to me, oh, Holman Matua Shane, we're going to have an election in September, October in the regional council. Your regional council is dominated by men and women who regard economic growth as a threat to climate sustainability. There's too much climate in New Zealand. We can't afford all of these. I mean, one of the good things that I've been a part of is withdrawing New Zealand from an oil and gas alliance that Jacinda signed us up to. An international oil and gas group that you could regard as some sort of Jacinda-orientated after-school play group. We've got to get out of all that stuff.
Okay. Now, but I'll try. I'm sorry. I'm going to repeat it another way. Do you believe that you will have sufficient political support from your coalition partners, ACT and National, to disestablish regional councils?
Well, all I can do is repeat what the Prime Minister said. Prime Minister said after that beating down of the reforms that Mr. Bishop, ably assisted by Simon Court, the Undersecretary for Matters related to resource management, after they've bedded it down, the Prime Minister himself said then regional councils, he doesn't see a role for regional councils after that.
Okay.
So
now, there are...
Admittedly, sorry, say again?
No, there are obviously, just as we're talking at the moment, as there's a crisis being underway in the Tasman area, and the people that are responding to that weather crisis in the Tasman area, there are no regional councils in that area, as you're aware. They're all unitary authorities, so Tasman,
Yes.
Nelson, Marlborough, and they've been doing the job pretty effectively as unitary authorities since 1992. Gisborne's another one, Auckland's another one. I mean, it's a bit odd, isn't it, that we've got sort of two tiers. We've got regional councils existing in some parts of New Zealand and not others.
Yeah, so I recall when that United Council and the Tairāwhiti was set up. I think there's a deeper issue, though. We need to have practical responses to flood management. One of the most successful things that I feel that I was able to deliver before we got made unemployed in Jacinda's time was the $200 million for Stop Bank resilience work.
Yeah.
And I've been told personally in Hawke's Bay, if the money hadn't been spent on boosting the Stop Bank capacity of the river near Taradale, the whole of Taradale would have been wiped out. I've also been told by Darren Ponter, a very articulate, well-known character from Regional Council. He said to me that the $200 million that they're currently spending on I think the report's called the Deluge, is only a tiny portion of what the country should be doing. So that's what catchment boards, that's what regional councils should be doing. They should not be writing reports that are at absolute variance with what the government is trying to do to recover economically after the COVID experience. And I would have to say to you, your council is the most heretical. Your council, in my view, is going out of its way to poke a sharp stick into the economic narrative of our government. Well, fine. If you want to play those games, we'll show you where real power exists. Real power exists amongst those political parties that ask New Zealanders for a majority of the support, go into Parliament, form the executive, change the law, and all of your ecologists, all of your strange, smelly, hippie-like people who are wanting to destroy mining, they can all go and live somewhere else.